Hello, welcome back. If you don't know me, my name is Jasmine. I do realistic drawings in colored pencil. Today we're going to be talking about the Faber Castell Polychromo pencils that I bought recently. These are the pencils that were in a review video I did a few weeks back. If you haven't seen that yet, I will leave the link in the description for that video. That also has a time marker, so you can skip ahead to this item and see the high hopes that I had. Before we get started on this comparison, I just want to say if any products I don't like work for you, by all means keep using whatever works for you. I've been using colored pencils since I was a teenager. I started out with Prismacolor in high school, and in 2016 I transitioned into Caran D'ache Luminance. It took me about a year to really get used to a different brand. I did start out by using Prisma with Luminance, then began using the Luminance alone for most of the colored pencil pieces that I've done. So Luminance is most definitely my favorite line of pencils. They're wonderful and they are quite pricey, but they are definitely worth the money. They have a huge color payoff, and I've done a variety of work on a few different types of paper. This flamingo reference picture that I'm using today is from Pixabay. Pixabay has a lot of free references that you can use. I do highly recommend it, especially when you need some inspiration or just practice for drawing certain things. It's definitely a great tool to have, so I will leave the link in the description for that as well. It is super useful. Another thing that's useful is you can kind of get an idea of what things look like if you want to mesh a bunch of pictures together, so that website is really great for like copyright free stuff, and they have a lot of free pictures on there. They have thousands of free pictures. I divided the drawing in half using the Polychromos on the left side and Luminance on the right side, so you can see the real difference between the pencil quality. Let's get right into the pros of the Polychromos. So one of the positive things about these is they can be sharpened to a point, so you can do some fine lines. The pigment is okay. They are also inexpensive, which is another plus. If you're starting out, you may want to use, a really inexpensive brand just so you can practice with. These can be good for sketching work, but I don't recommend the Polychromos for heavy color work. And now on to the cons list. This list is definitely much longer than the pros. There was so much that I disliked with the Polychromos. The pencils cannot be layered as much. They seem to have a wax appearance when I try to layer more than 2 colors. That was very, very challenging to work with. And when I do, say, 2 layers of color, then I try to use the X-Acto knife to add details like feathers or thin lines, for example. The knife does not remove enough color. So for you to use the X-Acto knife method of scraping away color, you actually have to layer a lot of pencil onto the paper. It has to be like a thick layer of pencil for the knife to remove it properly. That tells me that the pencil lead is not pliable enough to do that method. If you don't do that method, then you don't have to worry about this. So that method is a big deal to me because I would not be able to effectively remove pieces of color to draw things like small dots and hair. Another thing I noticed is that the Polychromos are less vibrant than Luminance. I used similar pencil colors, so I used 12 from each brand. I got the comparative colors from the Luminance brand to the Polychromos, so I could do like a real side-by-side with the same set of colors. There are 12 Polychromos in the set that I bought, so I chose 12 from the Luminance that were similar. When I originally swatched them in the first review video, they seemed pigmented, but side by side, you can see the right side is much brighter due to the Luminance pencils having a higher pigment content. The Polychromos seem to take forever to cover the paper, whether I was using heavy pressure or coloring in several layers using lighter pressure. I found it very challenging and frustrating to try to cover white areas on the paper. It felt like it was taking me forever to color this, and this drawing is only like 4 by 3 inches, so it should not have taken as long as it did. I noticed that certain colors of the Polychromos are difficult to blend, which is a huge deal if you do a lot of color blending. You could have a lot of trouble working with these. For example, when drawing a blurry background of trees, generally I use red, dark green, yellow ochre, and black to create a large range of greens. Red sets the green back in space, and the green pencil I had trouble layering over the red. When I keep coloring, it sort of started to look muddy, so it started blending like too many colors together, and there wasn't enough range. There wasn't enough contrast between each color. So you'll start to see that once you see the right side being colored, the background, it's much different. Certain shapes are more definitive, they stand out a little bit more when there's certain colors, and that's the way that pencils should work. For the erasing, it does seem to work better with a battery eraser. Definitely don't use an X-Acto knife if you're using these, in my opinion. If you found something that works for you, then leave a comment in the description and let me know. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I've never used the Polychromos before. I have heard a lot of good things about Polychromos from artists everywhere on the internet, but when I use them, I feel like I don't have a similar positive experience. So here's where I started coloring on the right side with the Luminance. You can see the right side of the drawing, the colors don't look muddy, and I use the same coloring process in the same order. The green is brighter, and since Luminance has a higher pigment content and a softer pencil lead, you can easily layer color but also use an X-Acto knife to remove color to add small details. Looking at these side by side, I did really notice a huge difference. I struggled a lot with coloring the left side of this drawing to the point where I didn't want to finish it, and that's why it looks unfinished. With the Polychromos, using those, it definitely felt like a downgrade from what I normally use. And that's it for today, guys. Let me know in the comments if you've ever used any of these brands and what you'd like or dislike about them. For now, I will keep my upload days on Fridays. I try to upload on 2 Fridays a month, since that's the most work that I can get done since I work multiple jobs. So when I make videos, I don't want to compromise the quality of them just to upload more frequently. You can follow me on Instagram at jasminebaker.artist, or to commission me for a custom drawing, you can visit my website jasminebakerart.com in the description box. Thank you so much for watching.